Welcome to Indiana Basketball After the Game with Todd Leary, brought to you by Endeavor Hospitality's WOW Network and Andy Moore Honda, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer. Now it's time for a full recap and reaction with Todd Leary. You're on.
Well, it's not exactly Todd Leary, but I think we may have upped that level because we've got Dean Garrett with us, who has been a great friend of us and joined us before, and a very, very special treat, Pat Knight. First, thank both of you, but Pat, thank you so much. It's been a long time since I've seen you, and how's everything going, first of all?
No, everything's good. It's still my 9th year at the Indiana Pacers, and everything's going well. I mean, I've been with the Pacers longer than my head coaching profession, so I can't complain. And living out in Las Vegas now for 9 years, and I can't complain. Everything's going well.
That's awesome. And I don't know if everyone knows, but you've been a scout for the Pacers living out here in Las Vegas. Dean Garrett is also there. He has become royalty. But I guess we got to get to the game, guys, and we'll talk chat.
Jim, you're going in and out.
Froze.
We lost that. We lost him in office. But, man,
hey, guys, while we try to get Jim figured out, go ahead and share your thoughts on just your opening thoughts on what went on with Indiana and Arizona tonight.
I guess I'd go first. That was an NCAA tournament game right there. And those guys have to be ready for that environment and for that physicality of the game. It was a very physical game. And I don't believe they were that ready to handle that.
Yeah, there's so much length, and that's being Indiana's game. Everything goes to Trace Jackson-Davis, and they kind of clamped on the one those guys today, and the shooting did not go well from the beginning. They come out in the second half on fire, but it's Arizona is just too strong. They're a legitimate national championship contender.
Yeah, it'll be them and UCLA in the Pac-12. And I cover the West, so they're one of the top 2 teams out here. But like Dean was talking about, no matter what the outcome was, this game's going to benefit both teams later on. But Arizona just got off to such a strong start, especially with their transition offense and their size. And, Indiana did a great job coming back, but as any coach would tell you, it is hard. You get down, you come back, you get tired, they go back up, you come back. It's just really hard to get over that hump.
Yeah, I sent out a tweet. Indiana made, I don't know, maybe 5 legit runs today, but Arizona answered every single time. And it was like, that's got to be so frustrating as a player. Like you said, it wears on you, but mentally, it's got to be so taxing to put that energy and effort, get back, and then have them do what they did time and time again.
Man, no doubt, man. Every time Indiana came back and made a run, Arizona answered it every time with either a 3 or and 1. And that's just a testament to Arizona. That's a big team. And like I said, once again, that's a team that they're going to have to be able to beat a team like that or that team to get where they're trying to get to, because that was a true NCAA tournament game right there tonight.
They needed some of that Pat Knight shooting out there, baby.
Do what?
They needed some of that Pat Knight shooting.
Oh, shoot. Maybe, but it's hard to shoot it from the bench. You better talk to Dean about the shooting, not cheering off the bench or going to Kilroy Sports Bar. I can tell you about that. But the shooting, you better talk to one of these other guys that got to play.
Hooligans was always my favorite, but I found out that was a favorite of Dean's as well back in the day.
Oh, man. Yeah, I couldn't get in Hooligans, man. Shoot. I was still 20 years old when we were going through everything. And so when I was finally able to get into Hooligans, it was my senior year, and I couldn't go during the season. And then the time I really, really wanted to go is when we lost to Richmond. And I remember walking past Hooligans and looking in the window, and I saw Richmond's team celebrating against us. So I kind of turned around and went on back to my room.
But they always saved me a seat at Kilroy Sports, so I had no problem.
Yeah. I've never been into that Kilroy's, but I was a KOK guy. Hell, they didn't have Kilroy Sports when I was in school. I'm too old.
Man, Kilroy's is great.
Oh, it's awesome. It's awesome. Pat, when's the last time you besides, see, last year, that was probably the first time you've been back to Bloomington in a while, I'm guessing?
Well, I go back every month to check on my dad, because, he's dealing with some health issues. And so I've actually been going back pretty much for the last 2 years, every so many months. And I actually got an apartment up in Indy by our offices because I go back so much just to check, on my parents.
What a great son.
Oh,
What a great son.
I don't know about that, but it's your parents. You gotta check on, especially getting older sucks, and you see it with your parents and just people around you, and so you want to spend as much time as you can while they're around.
You've been out here now. How long have you been out here in Vegas?
I'm going on my 9th year.
Wow,
9 years out here.
Amazing.
I couldn't hear.
We couldn't hear you.
We couldn't hear you.
Was it the Pacers that got you out here? Was it the Pacers that got you out here originally?
Yeah, it's actually Larry Bird when he hired me. He told me I had to move closer to California because I was going to be covering the West. And, he actually told me you don't want to live in L.A. And he suggested Phoenix. But then a good friend of my dad's, he's played in Indiana, Charlie Hall, back in the day when my dad was at Ohio State. He lived out here, and he's actually the one that talked me into coming out to Vegas. And then it helped that my wife wanted to move out here, and we don't have kids, so I jumped on it as fast as I could because I didn't want her to change her mind.
So you've worked for Larry Bird and Bob Knight. That is just an amazing staff. Of course, you work for Bob and Dad, but just
Many people can say they've worked for those two legendary basketball figures.
Oh, yeah. I even said that. I did an interview for Indianapolis Star right when I got hired by the Pacers. And, I'm fortunate to work for two of the greatest in the game and two of the Indiana legends. Not many people can say that at all.
And Dean, a long time in the NBA, and he did the TV sports show with, you all don't know this, Ray Thompson's father was a running back in the NFL, but they were good friends up in Minneapolis when Dean was with the Timberwolves, and they did a TV sports show together. Big Dean. Was it Dino? Was it Dean and Jerry? He should have changed his name to Jerry. It could have been the Dean and Jerry show.
No, man, it was like 4 guys on the panel, and it was myself, it was Daryl. We had a baseball guy, man. I'm trying to think who it was. And we had a hockey guy, and we would get up there and talk about sports every week. And Daryl and I pretty much crossing paths at the same time from Indiana into Minnesota. Still played the same era. We became good friends real quick.
Las Vegas, it has become a sports town. But before I get to that, yesterday we were talking, and you were talking about how well Arizona travels, and you were expecting it to be a split, at worst, a split crowd, probably Arizona, Indiana. And I got to tell you, I think it was 90%, and I'm not 90% Indiana. Arizona had a patch over here, and like those two sections and a little bit right here. The rest of it was all Indiana, which that was rather shocking. They took this place over.
I tell you, man, I wasn't expecting that. I've been here at this arena right here and seen many games. Steve Alford being in the Pac-12, and I come over here to see his team play, and they would play Arizona a few times, and Arizona people were all over. But I tell you right now, Indiana definitely was here. Indiana definitely took over this building. Indiana took over the MGM. Indiana took over New York. They had a pep rally across the street at New York at Beer House. I didn't even know anything about it. I just happened to fall into it with Jared Jeffries. Indiana, it was great to see everybody come out here and show out for everybody, because that made my day. That made my whole time this weekend, seeing all these Indiana people here.
Pat, that's being back in that environment. I know you were back for a game last year, but it's got to be pretty cool I'm sure a lot of people recognize you and want to talk to you.
No, it's like Dean said, this is great. It's home, and it's the greatest fans, in the country. And that was the thing, like when we went to Texas Tech, my dad and I always talked about, football is number one in Texas. And that's the one thing that Indiana has over everybody. Basketball is the number one sport. And that's the one thing we missed when we went down to Texas And I mean, we still talk about after he retired. I got out of coaching, was in scouting. I mean, there's nothing better than Indiana basketball. The whole state, all the colleges there, but especially, I mean, Indiana University special. The people are so nice when you run into them, and I always love seeing them. And so it was kind of special for me to see everybody. And I still have not been back to a game. I didn't.
I was just going to ask you, what are the chances of you making it to a game this year?
Well, it depends about with the draft, and I can't talk about individual players, but when we cross over in February, and hopefully I'll get a chance to get sent down there. I got to go to Purdue for the first time in 20-some years last year, and that was a great atmosphere. So I'm looking forward to getting back to Bloomington, because I have not. The last time I was at Assembly Hall, it wasn't really for the game, is when my dad went back a few years ago, and that was special. But I look forward to getting back for a real game.
I know, Brooks. How you doing, man?
And I'm sure I would love for you to get back there as well. And maybe we can get Dean to come back, and we'll go to Kilroy's.
Oh yeah.
Oh, no doubt, I'll be there.
I don't think my seat's there anymore, but I think
we'll
we can
make
get
him
in.
a new seat. We'll get him a new one.
Oh man, we'll get you a brand new seat.
But we can go to Nick's. We're older now. We can go to Nick's.
We can get in all the spots now.
It's funny you say that. Joe Hillman, a good friend of the show, he comes on as well. But the last time I ran into him, he's upstairs at Nick's with the rest of the old people.
So we'll fit in.
Yeah, right on, man. Hey, I'm older than you, actually, which sucks for me. But I'm actually older than both of you, I think. But well, we've always got Nick's. Indiana's been down, guys, for years, a few years. But now Woody is bringing back the excitement, bringing back players. This level of game today against a title contender, a legit title contender, in an unbelievable environment. It's great to see that, but it's better to see Indiana competing on that level with those types of teams after these few years of blight, I guess you would call it. But what do you see that has been the key difference that Woody has done?
Woody has brought back family. I mean, it's all about Indiana history, and we haven't had that in a long time. He's brought some excitement back to Indiana fans. We haven't had that in a long time. So just even coming here into Vegas and me and having a chance to go to practice yesterday, how exciting that was for me just to be around that environment, and just for these fans, because you could feel the energy back, and it hasn't been there in a long time. I don't live in Bloomington, and all I do is get to see everything from afar. But it's nice to see that everybody is. We got some excitement, and we have some promise that we all think that we can go somewhere. So it's nice.
And I forgot the other thing I was going to ask. But Pat, what about you? What have you seen? I know you don't get to watch as much, Bob. How often do you get to watch IU games?
Well, since they're not in my area, just a few times.
Time makes it difficult as well, I'm sure.
Yeah, but I see 3 to 5 games a week. But now I knew Arizona. I mean, I've seen them a bunch, so I knew them. So that was nice to see in Indiana. But like Dean said, it's one of our own, especially one of Coach's guys with the team. A lot of coaches are chicken shit when it comes. Can you say, are we on like regular radio?
You can say whatever you want, brother.
But a lot of these coaches are chicken shit when it comes to scheduling, and we'll only play home games, won't get out of their comfort zone. And Woody knows. I mean, Woody's been in the NBA. I mean, did a great job coaching the NBA, and he's not going to back down for anybody. So, like I said, the fans, yeah, you're unhappy that they didn't win, but this is going to really help them, and they're going to do great in the Big Ten. This is going to help them make them stronger, and that's because of Woody. Woody puts them in the fire. And my dad was always the same way Dean could tell you, Todd, Larry could tell, all the guys that have gone through a coach. I mean, our pre-conference schedule is always tough, but that's the only way. I mean, the Big Ten is one of the best conferences in the country every year, and you've got to play people to get prepared, and that's what Woody's doing.
And appropriately playing this team today, because the Big Ten is full of teams that have really good big men. As a matter of fact, when they play Purdue, it's going to be a lot like what they played today, because Boyo, what was his name? I forget, but that dude is. What do you do with him? I mean, what are you going to do with that? He's just a mountain of a man.
We didn't do too much with him today, so I don't know what you're going to do with Edie either if you go and play like that. But like I said, that was a good test, because it wasn't Purdue and it wasn't Edie. But now you got to take this game and see what you did wrong and hopefully correct those things. And, I mean, there's no time for crying and wasting. You got Kansas next week. So this doesn't get no easier. It's another NCAA game.
Well, what they had today is going to be the exact opposite next week. They had all this love and adoration from 90% of the fans. It's going to be worse than that at Phog Allen because there will be virtually no Indiana fans in there.
That is
all Kansas.
We hated playing there when we were at Texas Tech. That is the hardest place. I think I averaged getting beat by 32 there, and I think my dad averaged getting beat by 30, so I can't feel too bad about it. But that is probably one of the best, along with Assembly Hall, but college atmospheres ever. But again, it's going to get these guys prepared when they go on the road, to go up play Purdue, play at Illinois, Michigan State, Michigan. So you have to do it. So some people, may complain about the results early on, but I think when the season's over with, they'll see that, Woody has a plan to get these guys ready because it's a marathon, not a sprint. And it's not just about the conference. You want to make a deep run in the tournament. So there's still a lot of basketball to go.
Earlier, Dean mentioned family, and no one made a bigger deal on that than your dad. Whether it was with playing rivals or it was always about. Woody is a great example, and the guys he played with, how much respect and love they all have for your dad. I mean, players always come back and loved being around, and that was generally the case. But that was another thing that didn't happen over the last several years. Dean and Pat, having that back, how important to the program is that, Pat?
Well, I think because it's the history. All these guys like Dean, I mean, they're the history. And I'm a fan myself just because, I grew up around it. I was my dad's son and grew up around it.
Look, turn around. Look who you got behind you.
Now, what are you guys talking about?
Man, this is so great to see Don here, man. This is great.
Look at that picture.
Hey,
that's a picture that says 1,000 words there, man.
All right, see you guys. Travel safe, easy. Travel safe. Yeah, thank you.
So great to see Don here today, man. That was great.
What a beautiful picture that is. You got to get that thing framed and send it home for Christmas.
But no, family's important, and that's the one thing. And Woody, not to stress the importance of, playing for my dad, but just all the players that have played there. I mean, he reaches out, to everybody, and it's just – and I think a lot of the guys, a lot of us will tell you, not that you didn't feel welcome, but you didn't hear from some of the other guys. And it's kind of like – I think which was a mistake, trying to get away from my dad's guys, instead of embracing
it. Obviously, it was.
And so it's part of coaching now. I mean, we all get hired to be fired. And so, the past is the past, and you get over it. But I thought they try to stay away from it too much. But now we got it back, and it's just nice to be able to root for Indiana again myself personally, because I'll be honest, a few years there, I really had, not that I rooted against them, but I had no interest in them.
Right. No, and understandably. So that is just having that all back. That's so important in Indiana because, let's be truthful, Indiana is Bob Knight. Bob Knight is Indiana. There's no way to separate those two, man. They are locked in basketball and sports history, and they need to be together. So I am so happy, and I know the fans are happy, but having that is just one of the most important things for this program. I don't think it could have healed had that not happened.
No, I agree with you. And if you look at all the great programs, with the UCLA, with Wood, Coach Krzyzewski now, retired from Duke. Arizona didn't do a great job when Coach Olsen retired. It took them, years to finally get somebody to carry the torch. And it's not like these schools just want to be known just for Bob Knight or John Wooden or Krzyzewski. They'd like to get some other guys' names to put up there. But for me, for those guys to get put up there, they need to embrace the past, not run away from it. And that's with Woody. With the way Woody's going, they'll be talking about him in the same breath, hopefully, as they did my dad or some of the other great coaches that have started traditions at other universities.
Well, everybody loves Woody, but he better get a lot of Dean Garretts in there and hang some of those banners up if he's going to be compared to Bob Knight. But he talks about your dad all the time, and whether it's in pressers and he relates back to them, and he openly talks about it. How you learn this from coach. Coach taught me this, and that is also important for this program because the players that are here now are getting a piece of that tradition that they would not have gotten if Woody was not on the sideline or someone very similar to him.
That's 100% true because, like I said, I went to practice yesterday, and I saw Woody and everybody coming off the bus, and he embraced me right away. And he said, "Hey, I want you to say something to the team." He said that right away when I saw him. And Coach Crean was great. Coach Crean was great at bringing in the history of Indiana basketball.
That ain't us turning the lights out, folks.
Coach Miller wasn't as accepting. I didn't even meet him, but Woody did a great job. And this is a historic program. So historic is history. So we have a lot of it. And if these young guys, they weren't even born when that's how we won a championship or when Pat left. So if they don't get a chance to embrace it and understand where they came from, you're never gonna know. It's like having a legendary father like Pat. But Pat knows his father, and Pat knows what his dad has done, and it's huge. And you got to be able to know where you came from or where you're going into. And I think Woody's doing a good job of doing that.
And what's great about the family here, the fans, most places they only accept the stars. Here, as long as you were on that roster and you made it through playing for coach, they accept you. I mean, there's some fans that actually come up to me, think I actually played. And, because time passes and you get better as time goes. But that's the one thing I always loved about Indiana. It wasn't just the stars they accepted. They accepted the whole roster 1 through 13.
No doubt.
You're always family, and they always come up to you no matter how many points you average or what. And that's special. But that's the new generation's got to learn that.
You mentioned being able to cheer for Indiana again and enjoy all that. How hard was it for you to not be able to do that when you had to go through that? And what does it mean to you personally being able to bring that all back together?
Oh, it sucked. That was my whole life. I grew up, Indiana. And I wanted to go there. I mean, I wasn't good enough to go there. I mean, I was going to go actually. I committed to Creighton University my senior year, and that was perfect for me. But my dad talked to me, and my buddy Pat Graham, Todd Leary, Calvert Chaney, Chris Reynolds, all these guys I played with, and then growing up admiring Dean, Keith, I go down Joe Hill, all these guys that babysat me and taught me everything about life. Isaiah Thomas, Buckner, man. I know everybody. And for me, it was a special just to be on the roster. I had no delusions of grandeur. I just wanted to be able to come out in those warm-ups. And but then that was my whole life. And then it kind of gets taken away from you, and things aren't the same. And it's just nice. I can be myself again, just rooting for, the team I grew up and was around and always loved.
Well, you were a beloved. There's no question about that. You were a fan favorite whether you were on the floor or not. So that's rare. There's not many guys that don't play as much, that aren't starting, that are as beloved as much as the starters. I know they love everybody, but man, you were up there.
No,
very popular.
I appreciated that. And then, but it's not just me. There's other guys that were in my same situation. Being on the white team in practice, going against the red team, and they'll tell you they have no problem going back because the fans accepted all of us, 1 through 13. But, that has to do with coach because coach treated all of us the same. I mean, he got on your ass if you're the starter or if you're number 13. So it kind of, I think, it all has to do with him because he coaches all the same, coaches hard, and then the fans support us all the same, just like he coached us.
I know, but he didn't want to.
Well, guys, I want to get out of here because they're shutting this down. It seems like the lights keep going on and off. I don't know what the hell they're doing, but I cannot tell you guys how much I appreciate you taking the time to do this because it is beyond special to have both of you on, period, individually, but to have you both together, it's crazy. And then have Don Fisher jump in there a second ago. That was even amazing. But what a great time it has been, Pat. I would love to get you on the show sometime when we can make that happen and catch up with you again.
No, I'd love to do it anytime.
Greatly appreciate you. And Dino, as we all know, he's been a great friend of the show. Has been on the post-game show several times as well. Man, thank you so much. And great. If you're coming out to Las Vegas, you got to stay at New York, people. And that's where you go. Or MGM's a part of the family, but New York is where Dean is. And that's where you need to go. They make it happen. So come out and see Dean. But
Put some
guys, thank
Indiana
you so
stuff
much.
on, because I won't know who you are, but all these Indiana people that I saw walking through here this week, man, I think I took about 2,000 pictures easily for the last 48 hours. But it was so nice to see everybody come here and support Indiana. And I don't get a chance to see people walking around with Indiana gear at all unless I'm in the state of Indiana. So for me, it was an absolute pleasure, privilege. It was great just to be around it and see it.
Well, I'm sure you're not shocked, Pat, but yesterday we were walking through MGM. He was walking with me back over from New York. We couldn't go 10 feet. We would get 10 feet. Dean Garrett, Dean. Everybody. It was, and I'm not talking about fans. It was just it was fans. It was guys that were working at the roulette table. Everybody. Dean. And he may be Elvis is gone. You may be the next. If you could sing, man, you'd be the king of Vegas.
Only just because Indiana was here, man. It's just
the next Wayne Newton.
Man, it was great. It was great.
That's the one I was trying to think of. There we go. Guys, I can't thank you all enough, man. Y'all are awesome.
Thanks,
everything we can ever do for you, let us know. But appreciate you so much.
Same here. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Jim.
You bet, guys. And I want a big shout out to everybody at Endeavor Hospitality and the Wild Network. Make sure you go to the Wild Club, sign up for that. And we'll be back at BB's on the Friday broadcast as well, getting those out. But for everybody else, big thanks from Las Vegas. I'm Jim Coyle. I will see you on the radio.
Thanks for listening to After the Game with Todd Leary. Make sure to catch Indiana Sports Beat Radio each Monday through Friday from 8:30 to 10:30 live on YouTube or at your leisure by subscribing to Indiana Sports Beat Radio on YouTube. We'll see you next time for another edition of After the Game with Todd Leary.